Yo, what's up, everybody? Fatman Nation, uh, Fatman Live. Right, I got Kelsey Lynn here tonight from Nevermore Balls. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a little fucking house cleaning out of the way real quick, and let's just go over the sponsors. I got Shauna backstage, so thank you, Shauna, for doing this again tonight. I appreciate you. Let's hit some of those sponsors. Chimera. Okay, listen. Patrick is going to be on the lamest chat next week, so make sure you guys tune in to watch him. They're on at 7 on this channel. Okay, so make sure you watch that. But listen, if you need any consulting, look, everybody's python business sucks right now, and it doesn't suck for Chimera, so they could show you how to make it not fucking suck. All right, so just get on that shit and go visit them at chimerareptile.com and Chimera Reptile on Instagram. They could do breeding plans for you. They could actually show you how to market. They could do it up and make your ball python business not suck. Because face it, your ball python business probably sucks right now. All right, who do we got next? Brian Bodie. He's gonna be at the let me look at the fucking thing again. Anaheim Reptile Super Show on July 27th and 28th. Make sure you go by. Brian's coming into Anaheim from Vegas for that show. He's gonna be peddling his wares, and make sure if you want a quality ball python, you stop by Brian Bodie's fucking table. Brian Bodie Reptiles on Instagram. Go follow him. Next, Great Family Snakes. I love them to death, but Lori hasn't been in the fucking chats for a little while, so I got a little bit of a problem. But they do Desert Ghost, Axanthics, and Axanthic Pieds. They got a bunch of stuff on Morph Market now. You could call them and get a deal with them at Gray_Family_Snakes on Instagram. They didn't even need those fucking underscores. They just threw them in there to fucking aggravate me. All right, who do we got next? Portuguese Pythons also going to be at the Anaheim Reptile Super Show on July 27th and 28th. If you want a quality ball python, go and check out Danny and Renee's table. They got a bunch of shit, and fucking Danny's finally looking normal now, and not that 70s porn star mustache thing working for him. So make sure you go and fucking buy a ball python from them. Who we got? Portuguese_Pythons on Instagram. Again, they put the fucking underscore in there too, just to irritate the shit out of me. Small Town Exotics. Notice his Instagram handle, no fucking underscores, all right? Because that's my boy, and he's fucking smart, okay? Shane Kelly, if you need a quality hognose, leopard gecko, or stupid ball python, go to Shane, man. He's right in Tennessee. He ships everywhere. He ships worldwide. He will make shit happen for you. Shane is my ride or die. And man, we're really rushing into this. Okay. Visionary Exotics. Will Sanford down in fucking Texas. He does a bunch of puzzle stuff. He's just getting into the paint project too. Brought some direct lineage from Limey stuff. And I mean, Will's just a fucking badass, cool guy. Fucking member of the Patreon. Actually, most of those guys were members of the Patreon. I'm always gonna pimp Will because he's fucking smart. I think he's a coder as a day job. He knows what he's doing when it comes to fucking making things look and sound fucking good. And he's working with some really fucking high-end stuff that I would get into if I was to get back into this dumb hobby again. Visionary_Exotics. He put that underscore in, but I think he did it just because he's a coder, right? I mean, that's the only reason he probably did it. Yeah, I think that's it. William Sanford, though. Fucking go check him out. Go follow him. All right, couple of quick things. A lot of shit happened this week, right? A lot of dumb shit. Fucking jack off stole a fucking $15,000 snake. They got it back. Blah, blah, blah. You know the fucking story. I'm not going to get into it. But, a lot of people ask my opinion of it. My opinion is simply, fuck that guy. All right, fuck that guy and fuck his business. And, it's not going to matter because he's going to be selling ball pythons in 2 weeks again because everybody's going to forget it because that's the kind of hobby you guys are in. You guys are in a hobby that celebrates mediocrity and you forgive awfulness really quick. I could pinpoint a couple of things. All right, Samson, Pruitt, fucking, the Florida massacre thing. Chris Cersei. Yeah, they're all still fucking doing shit. You guys don't give a fuck because you can't police your own, and that's that's what happens. That's the kind of fucking hobby this is. Also, um, this hits me on a personal level, and we'll say hello to everybody in a minute. Reptilian Nation, fucking feud with Morph Market. This will surprise you, but I am siding with Morph Market. Okay, fucking. I mean, Reptilian Nation literally went down to Texas and tried to steal the show circuit from Herps, who's one of my sponsors on the main show. Okay, did everything they can to steal business from Herps. Right now, fucking Reptilian Nation doesn't do a show in Atlanta in a while. Bob Vu fucking comes along, says, I'm gonna do my own fucking show. Fuck you guys. And now they're shitting all over Bob Vu. And now they're shitting over Darian from Morph Market for supporting a friend of his, Bob Vu, during this thing. And now they're banning Darian from any future Reptilian Nation shows. Fuck Reptilian Nation, right? Like fuck them. The only thing I feel bad about is I hear that they do good shows. But, fuck it. They never fucking invited me down, so fuck them motherfuckers. And I wouldn't go anyway because of what they tried to do to Herps. So this one I'm going to give to Darian. Okay, me and Darian haven't always seen eye to eye. You heard the chant of fuck Morph Market from me before. But really, this week, don't fuck Morph Market. Go on Morph Market. Tell Darian that he's right. Fuck Reptilian Nation, okay? Tell Darian to do a fucking Morph Market show everywhere. Fucking just fucking get this guy out, fucking pussy. All right, let's say hello to some people in the room, all right? I know you, my fucking charming self is fucking really making you guys want me to call you guys out. Jen Kate, what's up, Jen? How are you? You did good on Keys the other night. Demonic Reptiles, yes. Guess one real podcast Sunday nights is better than no real podcast, right? So that's all I'm saying. Fucking Hottie Shannon. What's up, Shannon? Thank you for coming. What else we got? Shauna Corner. She's backstage. Yeah, I actually know what Shauna Corner looks like. And so do a few other select people, okay? What's this? Virgil Tomalin. Did I say your name right? It looks like there's an L where there shouldn't be an L there. Yeah, anyway, Virgil, what's up, man? Sky High Morse, part of the Patreon. Thank you, Brian and Holly. They're going to be on 15 Minutes of Lame on August 2nd, okay? LMK Reptiles, what's up, Kenny? How you doing, brother? Oh, we got to keep moving on. This is what happens when you work on an iPad. You got to touch the fucking thing and it fucking lags. What's up, East Valley Exotics, giving me the middle finger? Fuck you too, Chris, right? RNA Ball Pythons, what's up? Thank you for fucking stopping by. VIP Morphs, Gerald, fucking, you held it together, brother. It's all good. Aaron Klein from Batter Up Balls. He was the guy that won Stop Sounding Like Shit and Looking Like Shit contest, 2 years ago? Haven't seen him on any shows doing anything, so that was money well spent. What's up, Jessica Denmark? Haven't seen you in a while. I mean, in person. Edge, what's up, brother? Edge just had Bash Coder on. Go check out the replay after the show. Yo, Gecko Diva. Fucking sorry you're having a shit day. Fucking Kevin. Look at Kevin fucking showing up for a fucking live for once. Thank you, Kevin, for stopping by. Who else we got? Is he the last one? No, More Forge. What's up, More Forge? More Forge actually has a great fucking show. I think on Tuesdays or Thursdays. You guys should watch More Forge. They do a really fucking good job. They give a shit what they look like, and I appreciate that. Jamie from Rising Phoenix, what's up, brother? How's everything? It's been a while, man. Will's Hella Heat is fucking coming back into the fold. I've been seeing him all over the place. You know, it's funny. He still has that shitty podcast logo up. If you're not going to do it, fucking get rid of that fucking podcast icon. Timothy, thank you, brother. Always in here for the $5. I appreciate you. Timothy Lesher. Paul, 15 Minutes of Lame winner last year. Oh, we're going to have a surprise for the new 15 Minutes of Lame winner this year. And it's actually pretty fucking cool. It's actually a tangible thing that you guys will get for the year. And we're going to announce it in a couple of weeks once it's all made and done up. Python Portal, what's up, brother? Thank you for coming by. Good afternoon. I guess you're on the West Coast. Is that all we got? All right, that's all we got. All right, 29 people here. That's decent. Okay. All right, so 29 people who are not here to see me, okay? They're here to see this fucking hottie right here, Kelsey Lynn from Nevermore Balls. What's up, babe?
Hey, how you doing?
You are up in
Vancouver, Washington.
Yeah,
Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, basically the forgotten ball python area, right?
Yeah,
because
I'd agree.
There's some big people up there by you, but you guys have people like Casey Lassick living up there. But you being young, you probably don't know who Casey Lassick is. But Casey Lassick was responsible for, I would say, half the fucking animals that are in the country right now. And he's one of the old school guys. And he chose to live up there in Washington. So you guys got him up there. He's a good guy to hook up with. But you guys also got Stone Age. You got AM Royal Tales. I forgot Jana's name. Yeah, AM Royal Tales or whatever the fuck. You got Ball Python Boulevard, right? So some other bigger bigger guys. The problem is that you have good guys up there, but nobody gives a shit what you're doing, right? So right off the bat, what are you doing to change it and put Vancouver, Washington on the ball python map besides being hot?
So some of the things that I'm kind of focusing on was when I was looking around ball pythons, I came across one that was actually done by Canova. It was the Desert Ghost Clown VPI Exanthic. And I actually fell in love with that one. And I decided to make that my focus of black and white snakes. So looking around, I've only really seen one other major ball python breeder that focuses on that grayscale black and white, which was it?
That's JD Constriction,
JD.
right?
Yeah. And he does mostly TSK. And I've noticed that TSK and VPI definitely have some different colorations, and you have really good VPI lines, just like you have really bad ones. So like, for example, you have some VPIs that brown out really bad. So like when I see those ones, I try to typically avoid them. Or if their offspring brown out, and I try to go with more the ones that have less browning in them and stick more to that gray scale. And so that's what I wanted to make my main focus of. And then I just picked a few codominant genetics to really work into that. So I'm doing a little bit of like confusion, and mostly dark color genetics, because I feel like pastel, fire, lesser, beautiful genetics, but
it ruins Axanthic though.
What?
It ruins Axanthic though.
Yeah, I would say a pastel Axanthic on its own, it helps really grayscale it out, but outside of that, it kind of ruins it once you get further into like multiple codoms in with it. So for my opinion, I want to go more dark, so I'm doing more of the blackhead, the chocolate, ones that really mess with pattern like confusion. Those are going to be my main focuses, and just seeing how those intermix, and really just focusing on that as my main genetics. And I network with other breeders in the area where they have their own specialty for focusing, so I can keep my collection small but still intermix in, so it makes my overhead low. Right. And that was one of the things I want to look at. And the next step after that is I want to see if it was possible to improve care. So instead of doing like small, massive amounts of ball pythons, I want to try and do larger. So my goal is to get all my adults into like 48-inch bins, for example, and see if I can provide high level of care while still being profitable. Because one of my big philosophies is don't judge how other people do things until you can do it yourself and do it better. So
I
lead by
agree.
example.
I agree with that. And giving the animals a little bit more space is not a bad thing, right? But you're never going to convince the large scale Mike Wilbanks, Canova guys, like they're never going to do that, right?
Yeah, it's not going to make sense either, because it's not. It's just not possible. It's better to have clean environment than it is to have a large environment.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And actually, I think Sky High just said something. the smart hot chick. This is the most dangerous kind. Yes, that's right. Okay, that is correct. Okay, Brian. I love bringing on fucking chicks that are fucking stupid hot and know so much more than all of you jack off guys there. But like, I fucking love the part, and that's the reason we did this whole show. Okay, I know all of you think that I'm just a fucking pervert and I just want to have hot chicks on, but that's not the reason. Okay, the reason was to bring hot chicks on and have them shove information in your fucking face. Now you obviously don't shy away from being a hot chick though. You're not showing up all frumpy and raggedy and looking like a fucking potato, right?
That is 90% of the time, but not on camera.
Right. That's all I'm saying, okay? You could be fucking frumpy in your fucking house when nobody's looking at you, but when you're going to go on a show, fucking put a little effort into it, right?
Exactly.
What do you say to the women that are like, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to be known for my ball python knowledge and not my titties. All right. What do you say to those women? You could say.
Ball python breeders are a dime a dozen. Okay. Yeah. Let's be honest. And a lot of how you become successful in any industry is your networking, right? And you have to utilize the assets that you have. Like, I joke with people all the time. Like, this might go a little bit on the political side, but I don't really believe that there is a pay discrepancy between men and women. I think it's the type of jobs that women choose, as well as their willingness to negotiate. So I am in a male-dominated industry. I'm in sales, and I have never felt that being a woman held me back. If anything, I found that it's been a benefit because, everything should be based off merit. And the reality is I have the merit, but now I have the added bonus of being a female in a male dominated industry. So I laugh. I'm like, on the one hand, I'm like, I can't really be mad about the whole, we want to increase diversity, stuff like that. Because if I'm going against a older white dude, for example, for a promotion, I'm going to most likely get it as long as my stuff is at least equal. I'm going to get it every single time.
Right.
And that's is you using what you have. So knowing that ball python breeders are a dime a dozen, knowing that the reptile industry is heavily saturated just in general when it comes to breeders, use what you have to get ahead. Now, I'm not saying go and sleep with every person, sleep your way to the top like Hollywood, but
but basically with ball pythons, you'd be fucking your way to the middle, right? Like, there's not even fucking. There is no top really here. There's three guys on the top, and nobody's ever going to touch them. So if you're fucking any ball python guy, you really you basically told the world I've given up, and I'm just gonna like this guy is good enough. But is your husband a ball python guy?
No. So I don't, like the whole let me ask my wife. It's let me ask my husband. I'm that person.
That's
I may or may not have snuck in a few snakes because I'm like, who's gonna know?
Yeah, well, the guys do that too. The guys do that too. It's like the guys are like, yeah, I told my wife I only bought 3, but I really bought 7. And the wife finds out when she checks the checking account. They always get caught. They always get fucking caught.
See, I do the finances, so I don't get caught. But he is suspicious when I shave my legs. He's like, wait, why? Why are your legs shaved right now? I'm like, I have something to tell you.
Yep. Before I sit on your face, I bought a confusion clown this weekend. Okay.
And then he quickly forgets because he's too distracted. Right. It's all about when you mentioned that you brought home an extra snake.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. See, you know how to play the game. All right. Do you go to the national shows, or you don't even bother yet?
I really want to go to the national shows. In fact, it's kind of convenient because where most of my work was based out of is in Missouri, which is where St. Louis, the Super Show is. So that's one that's definitely on my list of where I want to go. It's just a matter of trying to plan it. And I actually have several friends out here. They're all big into reptiles that want to make kind of like we're going to make it like a girls' weekend. We're just going to go to the reptile show and just have fun throughout the weekend. So
if you could get to Schaumburg, though, you could get to Tinley, right? You could,
Tinley.
You could get to Tinley. Yeah. So, I mean, Tinley's only a couple hours away. Would you drive or would you fly?
Oh, I'd fly. And
Yeah, right.
this,
Yeah, these people
depending
that
on when
drive are
Tinley,
crazy.
because I think Tinley has a show in October
Yeah,
and early spring, I want to
yeah.
say. I think just depending, sometimes I can get direct flights, but I think it just depends on the time of year.
Mm.
So if I can get a direct flight, that's even better because I'm too old to
Yeah,
deal with. I don't like connecting flights. I'm like,
yeah.
please can you connect like a direct flight? I'm
Are
not,
are
I'll
you in
pay the
an
money.
area where you have to go to like Seattle or Portland and then take the real flight to wherever you're gonna go?
Sometimes, so like I'm going to Kansas City for an event for work in the Ozarks region. It's if I had more time, I'd probably swing by and see some people out that way. But I can get a direct flight to Kansas City there and
Mm.
back. So I'm like, yep, that's what I'm doing. Direct
Right,
flight.
right,
So
right.
Seattle has a few more direct flights, but not typically to the Midwest. It's about the same as Portland.
Right, right. Okay. All right. So, do you vend the local shows yet or no?
I do the 1 day shows. Not a fan of the 2 day shows. I understand why people do it. And, it is a big show. There are some things that happen that just, as you say, people have short memories in the
Yeah.
reptile industry. Samson Pruitt, I was like, yes, yes, we all have short memories. Pacific Northwest, there were some things that were done that I just, in good conscience, can't support, even as a vendor.
Right,
So when I go to the shows, I look at it as more as getting like marketing. I don't go there looking to make a profit, right? Because everyone and their mother is going to be selling ball pythons. It's about creating a pipeline for future sales, right? But the 2 day shows I won't do out here, but I'll do all the 1 day shows. But the 1 day shows are just so, how should I say, small. Like they
right.
just
Really?
don't have the
Yeah.
presence. So it kind of makes it hard. So you really have to treat it like a marketing event more than a sales event.
Right. Well, Pack Northwest was just last week, right?
I think it's this weekend actually.
Okay. Did you end up, or are you gonna
Oh,
go or no?
nope.
No. Okay.
I'm
I
a
just
I'm a hard
remember the
pass
guy
on
had
those.
a sea turtle on an ad for
I
the
see.
fucking show, and I was just like, there's not even gonna be a sea turtle at that fucking show. Like, what are you doing? And yeah, I just think it out like if I were to travel and go to shows, honestly, the Pacific Northwest is
Oh yeah.
not where I would go to any, even your big shows.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I would go down to California, so like the Pomona show. I might
right.
try to
Right.
go, or even Florida.
Mm,
I know a lot of great breeders. Keys you mentioned earlier,
mm.
love them. I love to go down to Florida and see several of them.
Yeah,
And then
Daytona is
even
next month. Yeah.
yeah, Daytona. That's one, or the one in St. Louis. So either one of those two would be the ones I'd want to go to,
Right. Yeah.
or
If I want to
Pomona.
go see Bigfoot, I'd go to where you are. Okay. I would totally do that. Okay.
You
But
know,
not
you
not so much a reptile show.
give me about a month, catch me in my bog witch phase, and you'll find Sasquatch. I promise you.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that a hot girl turns into fucking a dog man after a certain amount of time. I'm with your husband. Shave them fucking legs. Buy them snakes and shave them legs. All right. Um, did you find any issues with being a hot chick in the hobby? Because you're not going on a ton of podcasts and all that, so a lot of people don't know you from there. But do you find that dudes will come up to you and look for the guy behind the table, or say, I'll just wait for the husband to get here and I'll talk to him?
Not really, to be honest. I think it's just because I create more of that demanding presence.
Mm,
So in fact, it's even online if people try to pull one on me, I I am
mm,
not against calling out because
right.
I just see it how it is. Because if you don't stand up and have a backbone for yourself,
Hmm.
like it's not going to work. And then on top of that, you also have to recognize you are in a male dominated industry, so they may mistake, and then they'll be 9 times out of 10 they're genuinely embarrassed about it.
Right, right.
Like
Mm,
they're just genuine. So like why shame them? It's just like, oh no, it's okay, like I get it. It's like you expect there to be like a guy behind the story, right? Or a male behind the story. It's like your expectations, and I'm trying to shatter that. So
yeah.
you're going to get people on occasion that do that, and I'm not about to shame them for making a mistake or thinking, misinterpreting.
Yeah, it is a very weird show because we actually have a female on it with common sense that fucking realizes that in a male dominated hobby, of course, you're going to think that a male is behind the
Mm,
fucking day, behind the
mm,
table. So these women that get pissed off and irritated, and they're like, I did all this myself. Yeah, shut the fuck up. Nobody cares. Okay, fucking, you did it all yourself. Make sure that everybody knows before you go that you did it all yourself. And fucking don't be mad if a dude comes over and tries to talk to your husband because they think he's the guy that does everything. Nine
Yeah.
times out of 10, the husband will be like, I don't know shit though. Talk to my wife, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's just fucking torture. Now, how many snakes are you keeping right now?
I have 20 right now. So 20 adults. I have some clutches that are currently incubating, and then I have two more that I'm expecting probably to lay in the next month or so. So
Okay,
just keeping small. I didn't want to overwhelm myself because I have a fucking zoo. Like my whole house is a zoo.
right. Yeah.
But go ahead.
So you have like a farm, a little farm, you said, right?
Oh yeah, no, I have a farm in a city. That's how I call it.
Oh God. Okay. So horses, cows,
We
pigs,
have
everything like that.
two pigs, meat rabbits. So I'll be doing rabbits for both reptiles too. So I'll have that, and then ducks. So we have those all in the backyard plus all the snakes. So between those, I try not to overwhelm because it's all about quality of care. And I figured in my mind, if I'm going to have 20 adult snakes at any given time, I'm going to have 3, 4, 5 clutches that are all
Right.
going to need attention.
Right.
And my biggest thing is the pet industry, I feel like has been overlooked in favor of projects.
Mm,
And so I want to make sure all the babies are handled well. So when they go on to their homes and they are as pets, right? They're handleable, like they have good temperaments. I don't want to be rehoming stuff that are mean because as much as people say that ball pythons are super docile and all sort of stuff, I have two assholes, like straight
yeah. Yeah.
assholes. I
There's
will
always.
never be able to rehome them. I have tried to get them to love me, as I joke. They just do not like people. Like they just one I got and was super docile, and then it was like a switch, and suddenly she strikes anytime she sees me, and I have to like literally put my hand over her quickly to get her to stop.
Mm,
But she does not like to be handled. If she's out, she'll strike even when I'm just holding her and she's out.
right.
So
Mm,
that's just the nature of it, and I don't want that to go to people as their first time ball python, because
mm,
then I have found in the forums you get people who go, oh, you're rehoming it, like how dare you, like ball pythons are so easy, what are you doing wrong? And I'm like,
mm.
dude, some are assholes. Like if they're
Yeah.
assholes, reach out to the breeder, see if they'll
Well,
swap you out.
right. It's like people, like they have personalities, but fucking,
Mm.
all you gotta do is fucking smack that motherfucker on the face with a paper towel holder a couple of times, and fucking he'll be fine. Um, but with 20, let's say you have 5 clutches a year, right?
Hmm.
So automatically that's going to be minimum 30,
Yeah,
30 new snakes you have every year.
exactly.
And you're going to have byproduct no matter what, right? So
Mhm.
do you have a system in place to get rid of the byproduct?
Yeah, it's not. It's funny because I don't bring it up very often because I think people get very up in arms about it. But our local 501(c)(3) rescue up here has 80 normal ball pythons in its rescue
Yeah,
right now. And on
I
average, it
believe
takes
it.
anywhere between 9 months to a year to rehome.
Mm,
And as a breeder, you have to realize the reality is basic morphs, pastels, even clowns to an extent, but pastels, Mojave, um, just normals, for example, they are most likely going to either A, be constantly rehomed until they get into a home that they basically get neglected or die, or they're going to end up in a rescue draining resources until they finally get rehomed.
right.
Um, so I basically already sourced several people where the ball pythons could be fed as feeders. So
Mm.
anything that comes out normal or single basic morphs, I already plan on culling. And
I
just
fucking love that you're saying
basic
this. I fucking
like
love this. Yeah.
because I have a veterinarian because I talked to him. I was like, hey, this is kind of my thought process. I talked to him about the most humane ways. I've talked to several, animal breeders as well of most humane ways for euthanasia. So would I go out there and say, oh, yeah, this is what I do? No, because you don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry going, oh, I'm just going to cull anything I don't like, because then that's where you sometimes get people who don't do it correctly. And then that creates more pain and suffering for the animal.
Right.
But I have already proactively decided which ones will get cold ahead of time. So that way there's no like, oh, I'm just paying. It's not something I could sell. So I'm just going to cold it. It's like, nope, this is straight out of the egg. It's just going to get cold and then it's going to go in the freezer and it's going to be shipped off. Or if they need it live, I'm just going to ship it off or give it to them live and they're going to feed it to their animals. Because there's a
Right.
lot of king cobras. They're constantly looking for ball pythons or baby
Right.
snakes that they can feed. Even redics can eat them, like full grown redics.
Mm.
Boas can do it. It's a good balance. Feeding just rodents to your snakes, like boas and redics, it's easy, but it's not really a full balanced diet form. Throwing in a quail every once in a while, or a hamster, or like a small lizard or a snake is actually a really good varied diet for your snakes. It's just rodents are easy. They're easy to get a hold of versus the others are not so easy.
Right.
But
Well,
yeah, I basically sourced people for those to go to.
that's okay. Because I've been saying all year that this is the year that people are going to start getting rid of ball pythons, selling them for food.
Exactly.
And one of the biggest rodent producers actually agreed with me, right?
Mhm.
And ball python cost what, like $165 a year to raise up, right?
Yep.
So, and that's whether it's a $10,000 animal or a $30 animal. It doesn't fucking
Hmm.
matter, right?
Exactly.
So if it's going to cost you $165 a year to raise something that you could get $30 for, just smart business would be to fucking get rid of it, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't think that way. But I was talking to an old school guy, and we were talking about how many ball pythons are in the country right now, and his opinion was probably 2 million ball pythons are in America right now.
Hmm.
And I would think there was probably about 900,000, probably, right?
Yeah.
But he's, he's laying out to me like all the snakes you never see, like at Petco, and the ones that are on Craigslist and all this other shit, right?
Yeah.
So of course they're going to be sold for food at some point.
Hmm.
Now, can you sell a giant 5 foot adult for food? That's a little fucked up considering the thing lived fucking for 5 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
you're just, just to kill them. But, I would rather cull the babies, right? Because
Hmm.
I don't want to sell a snake, for food that has hopes and dreams, right? Like,
Yeah.
fucking, why would you want to do that? Baby doesn't know any better, right? Fucking get rid of that shit. Fucking freeze that shit. Do whatever you
Yeah.
got to do. I think that where you're standing out right off the bat is that you actually admit that you're doing this shit, and that's actually a fucking like I don't know. I would be more likely to buy from you because you admit, like, hey, this is what's worth it and what's not worth it.
Mhm.
Um, like if you have a clutch that's worth like 4 grand, right?
Mhm.
But then you have a clutch that's worth like 300.
Mhm.
Okay, it makes sense to keep one of those clutches. Okay, and it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to keep the other one.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, and you'll get a lot of hate from the hippies, which you guys got a lot of up there. You guys got a
Yeah.
lot of fucking hippies that I never realized that. How
I,
many fucking hippies you guys have?
well, it's funny because what people forget what breeders were just historically, right? And I see this in every pet community. You want to save every single animal, and I
Of
go,
course.
there are you look no further than the dog and cat industry, right? Like I am a person who basically will say shop responsibly because even if you adopt an animal, where do you think that animal came from?
Right. A
So you're
fucking breed. Yeah.
indirectly supporting
Yeah.
backyard breeders,
Yep.
whether you're adopting or not. So I go shop responsibly. If you want to, if you just want an older snake that's affordable and super nice, go to the rescue.
Right. Right.
Go to the rescues. They'll tell you what the temperaments are like. They're going to be older. You can figure out exactly what you like, right? But if you want a baby, choose where you spend your money at. Like, yeah, you could buy a snake for $100, but what type of breeder are you supporting when you do that?
Right.
And that's, I've even talked to one breeder where it's not in ball pythons, but in lizards. And she's like, well, I want to make them more affordable. And I go, well, how much do you think a cost to the vet is? And they're like, oh, well, it's $100 at least. I'm like, exactly. So why would you try to lower a price of, it was a blue tongue skink, right? She wants to get the prices lower. And I'm like, why would you lower the price of blue tongue skink to the point where if someone gets a sick one, why try to take care of it when you could just, kill it
Right.
off, or like
Right.
euthanizing, just go get another one. Like
Right.
someone who spends $100 or complains over $100 to get a blue tongue skink is certainly not going to spend $100 to
Right.
go to the vet.
On a vet bill.
Like,
Yeah, of course not. Yeah. Fucking
so I tell people, I'm like, trying to lower the prices of animals is in my opinion, a dangerous route to go, because then that opens up the door for more people to impulse buy versus going like, hey, is someone who spends $1,000 on a snake going to sit there and, just not take that snake to the vet and just let it die and go get another one? No, it's a
no.
$1,000
Yeah.
snake. They're not going to let that die. They're going to go
Right.
take it to the vet.
Right.
If they get $100 snake and it gets sick, you think they're going to take that to the vet?
Yeah, they're gonna replace it. It's
Exactly.
like them turtles that you win at the state fairs, by throwing the ping pong in the fucking in the turtle jar, and it's gonna die on the way home. You just go to the fair the next night and fucking get another one. You're not gonna, take it for a necropsy at the fucking vet.
Exactly.
So that's actually a decent opinion that I share also. Like, you don't want to make blue tongue skinks at fucking $100.
Yeah, no.
Keep it at $300 to $500, and then at
Mhm.
least the person might give a shit about it, saying, I don't want to lose a valuable animal. If it's going to cost me $100 to make it better, that's what I'm going to do, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, these people are fucking morons. However, the nice thing is now where you've seen the shift in people will buy $1,000 snake now for a pet, for just a pet. Okay. Whereas back when I was doing this full time, you would never get somebody to spend $1,000 on a pet. It would be a breeder, which means that automatically you're selling to your competition, which means that automatically one day, that person's going to do whatever they can to put you out of business, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is the problem with the whole high-end ball python market, because it's just breeders selling other breeders. And at the end of the day, you're selling the competition. But I did have Summer on from Canova a couple of weeks ago, and she said, you got to remember that the bottom of the pyramid supports the top of the pyramid, right? And that's true, as far as the high end stuff goes. But you got to figure, even in a clutch that's worth $10,000, you're going to have some $700 to $1,000 snakes, right?
Yeah.
And if you're Canova, or if you're Chimera, or if you're Bob's Balls, do you sell those for retail, or do you just get rid of them to wholesalers, at a discounted price? Do you have any type of wholesale connection set up where you could be like, just take this whole clutch from me, and we'll be fine?
I have a few people that I can source them to. That's part of the reason why I wanted to start small, because I think that's a mistake a lot of people do, is they get in and they buy 100 snakes, right? And all of a sudden they got
Right.
5, 6, 7 clutches. I'm like, do you realize how many snakes that is and how much work that is to, move that amount of snakes? I'm like, no, I'm trying to do, 1 to 3 to start building that brand. And then as I get, more popular, I'm going to source more wholesale, right? And
Right.
the wholesale is most likely going to be more towards people who are needing them as feeders more so than needing the high end, right? Because my goal is to stay small and do quality and focus on high genetics to help reduce down the amount of basic snakes that would be produced.
Right.
So health and temperament, as well as like honestly just how they look, is going to be more of a focus than just trying to build a breed a bunch to try and hit a lottery snake,
Right.
right?
Right.
I'd rather just pay for that higher end snake right off the bat and start with good genetics than to breed 30 just to get to that one.
Right. Well, this is
So
one of the things that I hate with the new breeders, where they'll put together snakes, and then you'll ask them what are their pairings this year, and they say, "Oh, it's nothing great. It's just a pastel entry to a clown."
yeah, it's like,
So
why?
why are you even doing that? Like you
Yeah.
may as well sign off for the cobra food before they even lay the eggs.
Yeah,
So you can have a worthless fucking animal.
well, yeah.
No, go ahead. I'm
Well,
sorry.
it was something that even my local community, like of breeders I talked to about, were like, we see a lot of people off selling their collection and it's all just single gene, double gene morphs. And it's like you were breeding, like, here's that, like, you were breeding these. Like,
Right, right, right,
these collection sell offs are literally just basic morphs that aren't really going to produce much in the way of like high end, if that makes sense.
right. Well, yeah, they're not going to produce high end ever. You
Yeah,
know.
and it's like, why do you have that many? Why did you have that many hold back? Like, you should have just stuck small and just slowly replaced, and then either a rehome those ones gradually or just cut back. Like, why were you breeding so much?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
there's a
First
downturn.
year, first
Like,
year that we were breeding, right? And
mhm,
this is in 2009, right?
yeah,
2008. Everybody was telling us, breed everything you have, and only about 70% will actually take, and you'll be fine, right? You could
yeah,
get rid of some wholesale, you could keep your, holdbacks, and you could sell the rest at shows. We
mhm,
bred 100 snakes, right?
yeah,
Thinking that we would hit 60, right? We hit 100 fucking clutches on our first year, right? And what we
that's
didn't think about is fucking that was like 600 or 700 new animals that we
mhm,
had in a year that we had to buy racks for, we had to put space for, we had to feed them,
mhm,
we had to do all this other shit. So back then it was a lot easier to establish like a wholesaler, and nobody would ever think about selling ball pythons for food back then, because
yeah,
back then it was like if you have a female, you keep it and breed it and you make money, right? But
yeah,
it's not that way anymore.
mhm,
It's like you have to have things that are at least worth it. And it, 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 it's kind of sad because there's so many animals that you look at a show. Like, let's say you go to Pac Northwest
mhm,
and there's 2,000 ball pythons there, right? Let's just throw out an arbitrary number.
mhm,
um Even if fucking 1,100 of those ball pythons sell, okay, probably 300 are going to be sold to people that are going to kill them, right?
mhm,
So like, I would rather just kill them right off the bat and sell them for food
mhm.
than to have them go somewhere where they're going to suffer before they die. You know what I'm you know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
that was my
So
philosophy.
I actually like your whole business plan thing. Um, it's something that you don't, and it's something that a lot of people are probably doing, but nobody's really admitting it, right? Because if you're ever in one of these Facebook groups and you fucking say, I'm gonna cull half my fucking babies this
Mhm.
year, they will fucking make sure that they do everything they can to disrupt your fucking life and your business and everything else.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and it's a sentiment I've even talked to crested gecko breeders. Like, it's a sentiment. I was like, dude, there's a huge uptick in crypto. Was it colubrids and like musaranas, for example, false water cobras, even venomous species, where people are expressing more interest in these animals. And like musaranas, for example, their main diet is lizards,
right,
right? And so I'm like, some of these crested gecko breeders are even kind of looking at like, oh, well, we're going to start using them as feeders. And in the UK, it was really interesting because I was talking to someone out there and they're like, yeah, crested geckos are seen as feeders out here because they're so prolific in their breeding. I'm
right,
like, that makes sense. It's just about, I tell you, I'm like, it's going to happen. The biggest thing is making sure that you get with a veterinarian, get with someone who's an expert, understand what it takes to cull them humanely, because throwing them in a freezer is not a humane way.
right,
If
right,
you're throwing them in the freezer, I'm telling you right now, that is extremely inhumane.
right,
CO2, I looked into that because you do that with the rats. Also, not really great. It's way too expensive to do it that way because they only breathe, 3 times a minute.
right,
So to do CO2, it's going to take a long time to get them to coal. So the best method outside of an injection, which then makes them useless as feeders, is pithing the brain. So you kind of have to think of it as the same way with rat breeders, where sometimes they'll do fresh kill and they'll do they break the clavicle or what have
right.
you to basically instantly kill the rat, so it's a fresh kill.
Yeah,
you know Not ideal, but it's the most humane way to do it. So you're going to have to create a system that you can do it effectively and to minimize harm and do it right the first time. and
Right.
not everyone is going to do it correctly, like, and that's the
Oh
problem is
yeah.
some people are just going to be like, oh, this works, and they'll cut corners, and that's why I think a lot of people don't talk about it, is they don't want to get, we have trouble policing ourselves, right?
Right.
We don't
Right.
want to get someone into breeding who's like, oh, cuts corners, and like, well, this works, and it's like you're sitting there looking at like, that's not how you want to do it. That
Right.
just looks
Right.
really bad. That's going to get PETA involved or what have you.
Right. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
part of the reason.
Well, and that's like you never want to have PETA involved, right? Like fucking that's
Yeah.
a girl last year bought a retic from Bob Clark that ended up having Nido or whatever,
Oh,
and
yeah.
she was talking about going to PETA, and literally everybody in the community just started trashing this girl, right? For saying that you're gonna bring PETA into our fucking hobby, and that's gonna do more harm than good. But at the end of the day, the UK actually has more regulations about. Oh, I think you're getting a phone call. You went sideways.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what happened there. It just turned me sideways.
That's what half the guys in this room were fucking hoping they would get you horizontal. Yeah.
um, I
Just
know.
turn it back up and then back around again.
Let's try this and see if it will do it. Did it
There
do
you
it?
go. Yep.
All right, perfect. Yeah, in the UK, they do. They do have more standards for sure.
Yeah. Well, they had an event this weekend,
Mhm.
and the animal rights people were there. They actually had to switch the venue on the day of the show.
Oh,
Okay,
interesting.
so yeah, and but I heard the show went really well. But in England, there's a lot of those fucking end oil fucking people and all the fucking psychos. Okay, now where's Nevermore going to be in 5 years? What's the plan?
So my goal in 5 years is to honestly still stay small, and have basically my triple recessive is my goal, right? I want to have mostly that desert ghost clown, VPI with some codoms mixed in, and
Right,
reduce down my collection just those and breed sparingly. Like honestly, like I would even mind. I want to see if it's possible to take wait lists, right, where people can have first pick, second pick, third pick, because having two triple recessives that I can breed together, right, I can properly vet people. So if it's someone who's just wanting as a pet, I can still make it high end, but I'm not going to make it so exorbitant that it's not affordable as a pet, right? But I
right,
can also do
right,
a heavy vetting process, and also you can create documents. Now, of course, there are going to be people who try to go around or what have you, but just like with rescues, you can say, hey, this is a no breeder agreement, so you're not paying for the breeding rights. Therefore, if you do breed it, any of the offspring would then therefore be my property, right?
right,
But you
right,
can turn around and just make it more affordable for more of the pet community. So someone who's like, hey, that's just a really cool snake, I really want to have it, they're obviously not going to spend $10,000 on a cool morph, but they might spend 2-3 thousand, which is still a really reasonable price, and it gives them a really cool snake, and it's someone who's a pet only home, right? Because
right.
you can vet them out and it can do a wait list.
Well, not only that. Eventually, what'll happen is if you do good customer service, that $2,000 snake or
Mm,
$2,000 sale will lead to an five
mm,
thousand dollar sale, an $8,000 sale. If
exactly.
if you keep on top of things, you have to
Mm,
you have to have that kind of mentality as far as customer service goes, where these
exactly.
people are like, I'm only gonna buy from Kelsey, right? So
Yep.
fucking and that's the way a lot of people are going. That the other way I like that the direction is going in is it's going in from a direction which was like, I'm going to be the next Canova or I'm going to be the next
Mm,
Chimera, to a
mm,
direction where people are like, hey, if I make an extra 50 grand off the ball pythons this year, I'll be happy, and I keep my day job. Now,
yep.
if you make 80 grand a year and then you make 50 grand a year on the snakes,
Mm.
that immediately makes your lifestyle so much better.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
And that's more attainable than saying, I'm going to be like Canova and open a 10,000 square foot facility and I'm going to
No.
mortgage my house to do that. Like,
Yeah. I want to specialize in my genetics. I want to have fun doing it. I want to make sure that they all have, my goal and my commitment is to try to get all of them into the size enclosures that we expect pet people to have, which is, 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot. Ideally, I'll probably do 4 foot by 2 foot by one, mainly because ball pythons, once they're adults, don't really climb. Like they
Right.
just don't. Their bodies are not made for it. Some can, but it's like we can swim doesn't mean
Right.
that it's
Right.
like our
Because we, yeah,
go-to.
yeah, we can
um
climb a tree, but I'm not
yeah,
gonna climb a tree. Okay. So
so yeah, and I
go.
want to see if it's possible to have all of my adult breeders in those 48-inch bins with enrichment, because I want to show that it's possible to have you know proper size enclosures with proper enrichment and interaction with your snakes and still be profitable. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I figured that's what my goal is. I'm going to try and see if I can make it happen to show that it is possible.
Hmm.
Because I think boutiques, people who specialize in certain genetics, are the next step for ball python breeders. Like, you don't have to be, I'm never going to be making the world's first, in my opinion. But I want to do really well in the genetics that I like. And so that way, when people are looking for those, they're like, hey, I think this is a really cool morph. I really want this specific one. Hey, that's what I specialize in. That's what I typically carry. That's what I have.
Right.
And if they're looking for something else, I'm like, hey, here's this breeder over here. They create really good, X, Y, and Z morphs. You should go check them out. And then that's just building the community for everyone. The animals are having a better quality of life, and then people are getting more one-on-one and interactions with their breeders and their snakes. And that's, to me, I think, the way that we should be moving as a community, is just raising each other up as breeders, have our specialties, and just stick with that. So when when they get popular, great, we can breed more. When they're not popular, we can cut back. We have our day drops. It's fine. Would it suck to not make the extra income? Yeah, but if you're not depending on the income, you can cut back and be fine for a couple of years, and then once it gets popular again, you just build right back up.
Well, yeah, but that's the problem with all the people that came in during COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that they took whatever money they had, they invested in to
Mm-hmm.
ball pythons, and they have to make money because they can't afford the food bill or they can't afford the
Mm-hmm.
electric bill if shit hits the fan. Like
Yeah.
I was just listening to the lamest podcast prior to this show, and they were talking about like what happens if there's a fire in the house, what happens if your whole collection gets decimated, then you lost everything, right? Whereas
Yeah.
if you put it on, if you maintain your day job and
Mm-hmm.
you fucking keep this as a hobby,
Yep.
you could always rebuild,
Mm-hmm.
that part of it. um does your what does your husband do?
He's a stay home. He
Stay at
lives the
home?
dream. Yeah, he lives the dream life.
That dude's just stay at home with a hot wife that fucking likes rep. Really? That is unbelievable. That motherfucker cracked the code. And how many kids is he raising?
Two. They're back to
Only
back.
two? Only fucking two?
he so he I always joke he's Hispanic and Native American. I joke, why hire the help when you can marry it. He's a great
Oh,
cook. He cleans.
oh, that's a little racist. Okay. That's a little racist. Okay. But you probably got a bunch of working motherfucking kids, or at least
you
half
know
hardworking. Yeah.
we always joke about, because I'm white trash, because I did grow up in trailers, so we always joke about that. So we like to play in and tease each other a little bit, because I always joke, I always do the white people shit, as he calls it. But
Oh my god, that's fucking funny. Okay. So
it's
he's staying,
hilarious.
so you're the breadwinner
Mm.
and fucking so when you go on these business trips, you have like side pieces, right? That you just fucking hit because come on, you can tell me. No,
I'm sure
nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. All right.
I'm sure my some of my peers would like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no shit. Okay. Um, that is unbelievable. I ought to have your husband on teaching all these motherfuckers how to crack the code. All right. Because
You know what?
that would be the most watched show I ever had. Right.
I will say this much: he cracked it by being a home wrecker.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Sorry,
All right.
you said nothing is off limits on this
No,
podcast.
no, no. Shit happens. No, shit, it happens. Right.
But honestly, it's just he. ideally at the time, this might get a little bit more serious, but all jokes aside, the plan was actually for me to be the stay at home,
Hmm.
because we basically had set ourselves up to be basically make it on one person's income, because it's tight but it's doable, right?
Right, right,
But and he was willing to work overtime because he was an EMT at the time, and he was willing to work overtime to basically make more money so I could stay at home, right? And when my son was born, he actually was born with a congenial defect called
okay,
EATEF. We didn't know about it till he was born. It was kind of like, surprise, he needs
mm,
surgery, otherwise he
right,
dies.
right,
And you're like, what? And so my work had the better health insurance. I mean,
mm,
just to be frank, his work had terrible health insurance despite being an EMT.
right, right,
Ironic, right? So at that point in time, I ended up being continuing to work because my health insurance was frankly better. And it's like, what's the point of you working overtime if we go bankrupt because we're paying copays all the
right,
time?
right, right.
And so then I just worked on working my way up, finding better sales jobs. And I ended up doubling my income over COVID. I was one of those
Mm,
people who just moved and just found better paying jobs. And now it makes it so I was able to invest in buying good quality snakes. And that's kind of like my side hobby business. He's able to stay home. He has his own hobbies. He's the one who wanted to do the meat rabbits and the pigs. So I'm like, that's your job.
wait. When you, I just want to hit this at least. A meat rabbit, right? I'm
Hmm.
assuming that that's a rabbit that's for that's for food for people,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
You guys got to think of a better term for that. Like a meat rabbit just sounds so nasty. Like fucking, it sounds like a rabbit that's just like with no hair on it. That's you just see the muscle, right? Like that.
it,
It just sounds gross. A meat rabbit.
If you, I thought the reptile community was bad. Try the rabbit community sometime.
They're fucked up too, right? Like any
the
fucking
the
animal
pet
hobby. Yeah.
community for rabbits are even worse. So like I do colony style, which because I'm all about trying to give space to animals, giving it, making sure they're well cared for, lots of greens, water, food, right? And I want to make sure that they don't have any diseases and essentially loved, right? Like most people don't associate trying to give love to an animal that's going to be, just ended up using for meat. But I think it's important from an ethical standpoint to take care of animals and treat them with respect.
Mm,
And, these pet people, it's like your rabbits are outside, you're abusing them. Like,
right.
what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I'm like, most meat rabbits are raised in cages. Like
Mm,
mine are outside, free roaming. And
right.
during the heat, I gave them ice packs, gave them ice, like ice water, kept them all cool. But it's crazy to me the amount of hate you get in the rabbit community the minute they find out they're outside or meat rabbits.
Yeah. You're actually just fucking. I don't know if I agree with you because you're fucking. You're basically killing an animal with hopes and dreams for food and fucking. I don't want. I don't like. I like the way Kentucky Fried Chicken raises their chickens. All right. In a three fucking or fucking 18-inch cage 25-inch chicken. Fucking just the more you could put in it, the better. But no, that's good. So meat rabbits
Mm.
is that like a viable business? I mean, does it make money or is it just like a hobby?
Well, for reptiles, if you look, fucking Rodent Pro charges $20
Right.
for a rabbit. So I have quite a few friends out here where it's like if they could, they would much rather buy local if they
Mm,
can. So if we have any surplus of rabbits, I can easily cull them and sell them off to people who have large snakes, Burmese, Reddicks.
right.
There's quite a few people out here, so I would have no issue being able to do that. But when it comes to selling meat, Washington is actually very anti-homestead in a lot of aspects.
Okay.
And so you can't actually sell rabbit meat, but you could sell the rabbit. And there are some ways around it but just like with anything, I think you kind of have to be wary because once you have laws in place, you have to be very selective and make sure that you
Right.
protect
Mm,
yourself because there's always going to be someone, no matter how nice you are, how good customer service you are, they are going to be upset with you and they will do everything they can to make things difficult.
Right.
So technically, unless you have a food processing facility, you can't sell rabbit meat, but you can sell the live rabbit. And some individuals I've talked to stated how they'll help people with dressing the rabbit, which basically what that means is basically skinning them and making sure they're prepped for meat.
Right.
They'll walk them through how to do it, but you can't sell a processed meat rabbit to people
Gotcha.
in Washington
Okay.
without a permit. And the permit is like, you need a facility with sterilized equipment. You know what I'm talking about, like the
Right.
whole
Right.
shebang.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not trying to invite the government into my house. No, thank you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. There you go. All right. And are you originally from Washington or no?
Originally from Oregon, actually. So I grew up in Portland.
Okay.
So a lot of people call me the unicorn, but I've actually lived in New York City. Believe it or not, I lived out in the Brooklyn area where all the Hasidic Jews live. So I'm
Right.
sure you know where that's at.
Yeah.
Super nice people. I actually rented from a very eclectic Jewish lady in that area. So it was a lot of fun. And I've lived South Korea. I've lived in Virginia, North Carolina. And I just moved back here because I love the mountains. I love the
Right.
outdoors. So that's why I found myself back here again.
Right. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, how could people get in touch with you?
They can get me on Instagram, so Nevermore Balls. I'm also on TikTok. Again,
Oh,
Nevermore Balls if you search
you're on
those.
TikTok? How old are you?
Do you want to know?
What are you? 30, 28, maybe 32 at the max end?
Believe it or not, I'm 35.
35. Okay, 35. But you're 35 with a TikTok?
Yep.
Man, fucking A. All right.
So I tried to hit all of it. I have my Facebook page as well. So I actually did a content creator one. And Facebook actually I've had a lot more success with than the other platforms, surprisingly.
Right.
But I mean, I will say it's eclectic mix for sure.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think on Facebook the more people try to shame me on that one, but then I just publicly shame them. So that
Yeah, that's the most fun, right? That's the most
that's
fun
the
about
fun way to
being
do.
in
I'm like,
job. Yeah.
I am too old and been around the block too many times for you to
Yeah.
be able to hurt my feelings.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking A. All right, listen, everybody go follow, subscribe. Do you got a YouTube or no?
I don't have a YouTube. I've been debating about it,
Okay.
but that's I specialize in short 30-second videos. Is how I call it.
Gotcha. Okay. You were made for TikTok. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Well,
That's why I love TikTok.
well, Kelsey, thank you so much for taking the time to be
course.
here. I appreciate you. And listen, if you're a woman in this hobby, be more like fucking Kelsey, and fucking a lot like a lot less like the fucking green-haired hippies at the fucking shows with the fucking muffin tops walking around looking like you know everything. Okay, Kelsey actually knows shit. Thank you for being one of the few women that came on here with common sense. I appreciate you.
Of course.
I will be in touch with you in a few days. Just do me a favor and hang out backstage for a minute, okay?
Well, dude, thanks, Chris, for having me.
Thanks again, Kelsey. Everybody, go subscribe. Nevermore Balls. Oh, all right. Fucking A. I like her. Fucking smart fucking chick. Listen, tomorrow night, I'm gonna have Will Morose on the Snakes and the Fatman, and Steve Conduit from Conduit Constrictors is gonna be on the 15 Minutes of Lame segment. This year, we're doing something special for the 15 Minutes of Lame winners or winner. We're actually going to provide a tangible item that will be pretty cool, and that's going to be announced in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then, if you like what you see here and you like raw, uncensored shit, join the Patreon at patreon.com/the Fatman Nation. We do a lot of cool shit there. We're doing unedited shitting-ons. We're doing fucking leg things, leg journey stuff. We're doing a lot of cool. The Storytellers fucking series is fucking great. And in 2 weeks, we actually have Limey Smidger on the Storytellers. He's going to be the season closeout. So everybody, if you can, join a Patreon. I mean, you can join for as little as $5 a month, and you get a bunch of fucking free shit too. Patreon only, Snakes and the Fatman Nation exclusive stuff. So listen, everybody, thank you for sticking around. I fucking appreciate you guys. Thank you to Shauna for fucking handling the back end. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks where we're going to have Trish, the wife or the future wife of Adam Wickens from Wickens Wicked Reptiles. So I'll see you then, but hopefully I will see you guys tomorrow or see you on the Discord on the Patreon. Take it easy, guys. Bye bye.